finished, and we are going to start with Ian Stringer from Radio Leicester.
Good afternoon, Brendan.
Good afternoon.
I wonder whether we can start, as ever, with just an update on some of the players ahead of the game against Manchester United that seem to have been struggling with injuries. First and foremost, Ricardo, who had a hamstring problem before and was withdrawn. How's he?
He won't be available for the weekend, but we're pretty confident after the international break he'll be okay. But just a slight strain, but thankfully nothing too serious.
Okay. Not asked for a while about Harvey Barnes. You told us that his surgery had gone okay. Just wondering how he is and whether you're getting to a point now where timeframes are being put on a possible return for him.
No, not really. He's a couple of weeks in since the operation, and he's doing very well. He's doing some work in the gym today. He was in the pool, mobilising his leg and doing some real good work with the sports science and medical team. So he's coming along very well. Obviously, but we'll see how he goes over the next coming weeks. But we said at the time you're maybe looking at about 6 weeks to get back into training. So 2 weeks post-operation, and it's all going well. So but still a way to go.
Perfect. And any movement on James Maddison? Forgive me, Brendan. I know you've said probably international break around there. Just didn't know whether there'd been any progress on that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. He was out on the field today, looked very, very good. So we're hopeful that if he can have a good couple of weeks in the international break, then he could be, it could be close when we get back. But he just looked like he had his confidence back. He was doing his ball work, multi-directional work, and I think he was really pleased. So hopefully over the international break we can step that up, and he could be joining us after that, which would be great news.
Yeah, it'd be great news for you if you could have him back and get your internationals back for the Premier League run into the end of the season. Yeah,
no, absolutely. That's another factor. Hopefully we can get them all back fit and well. It's a busy schedule for them, but get them back. That'll be great.
Brendan, the club have released their financial results this morning as well. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that there's a considerable amount of loss in there, given how COVID-19 has affected the business world, let alone football. I just wonder whether I could get your reaction to the announcement of the headline, I guess, ultimately the £67 million loss.
Yeah, I think like most clubs, Ian, there's a huge impact with COVID and the pandemic, so that will hit every club. But I think it's also shown how the club, the confidence they have in managing the budget and the figures that they continue to invest. You need to look around and see the likes of the training ground to see the investment that is still ongoing at the club. So that gives a great reassurance to supporters and people that, despite the pandemic, that the club are still pushing on with that sort of long-term vision of the club, which is important. And hopefully, like for us, like for all clubs, we get supporters back in next season, and obviously that figure comes down.
Could quite easily have gone the other way, though, couldn't it, Brendan? And may have been forgiven to have said, look, it's affecting everybody, it's affecting business, scale back. And I know the training ground was almost finished, but that investment and still backing you seems a real statement of intent.
Yeah. The club been magnificent in that way. And Susan and the other directors, how they lead it and to have that relationship with the ownership, I think it really bodes well for that. The long-term stability of the club. There's a real vision here to continually improve and develop and have that ambition. And the pandemic has allowed many clubs to suffer, but it's something that the club can cope with and deal with. And I said, whilst looking to continually to develop, which is great.
Is it going to have an impact on summer spending, do you think, Brendan, with budgets in mind?
Well, I think there'll be a level of spending. I think that's something that we've been really speaking about over the last few months. We want to continue, improve and develop. But likewise, again, it probably won't be the same as if we were in sort of, before pre-COVID. But there'll certainly be investment. I think that we have a developing group of players that are continually improving. We've only been working together 2 years, so I suspect that they will improve, and we want to strengthen the squad as well and develop it. And I'm pretty hopeful that we'll be able to do that.
Qualifying for the Champions League might help, mightn't it?
Well, it always does. It's the it's the aim for every team to finish as high as you can, and every team wants to be in that position.
There's a few quid in it for you if you do. You're quite aware of that, Brendan. When you're making for plans like a team like Manchester United on Sunday in the FA Cup, Brendan, a quarter-final, you know that they've played Europa League football on Thursday, something you've experienced, of course, for a lot of this season. Does that change how you approach it? Do you think, right, they might be leggy, they might be exhausted, they might have fatigue, and that change your plan, or do you have to discard that from your plan?
Yeah, it's one that, when you're a club the size of Manchester United, you're used to playing many games, and you're used to having the squad that can cope with that. So, and we've had ourselves, we've maybe been away and played in a game in the midweek and come back and still played very well and got a positive result. So, no, you have to discount that side of it. It's important that we understand their qualities. They're a fabulous team. Get players of real quality, but we have to focus on our own qualities. We're coming off the back of a real complete performance last weekend. Defensively strong, attacking with great creativity and being clinical, and we have to look to bring that game into this quarter-final. And you just know that if you want to do well in this competition, you're going to have to beat the best teams. And this is a very good team that we're up against, but we'll look forward to that challenge.
Do you study the club's history in the FA Cup, and does it spur you on at all, Brendan? You know that Leicester City have gotten to the final more times than anybody else without having won it. I know you're away from that, but Wembley in semi-finals give you a little bit of a taste for that. Do you use that to advantage, or actually do you try and forget that and create your own legacy? I just wonder how you study the history of a football club in cup competitions.
Yeah, but I think you guys have made it pretty clear since I've come in. So
sorry about that.
Certainly been educated on it, that's for sure. That's the job I said when we come in. We want to create our own history here. The club obviously getting to 4 finals and not quite been able to get over the line. So of course you always would love to be the first. But it's a quarter final. We want to take the next step. It's going to be a difficult step for us, but we can go and play our game and play with the mentality and the attitude and the ethic that we have done, and then it gives us an opportunity. But you always have to have an eye on the history of the club and understand that. But it's always about creating your own history, and that's what this team is looking to do.
Final one from me, if you wouldn't mind. There's talk of fans maybe being at the semi-final. I know that the FA are very much keen on the final, but there's been a bit of a suggestion about the possibility of fans at a semi-final. Does that spur you on anymore? Does that get the players back up for it, that you win this one and there could be fans at a semi-final? Is it an extra incentive?
Well, it will be if you get there, Ian. I think that obviously the pandemic has meant that things have been up and down, so you can't really think too far ahead or even think towards supporters getting back in. We just have to deal with the situation day by day. And obviously later on in the season, if the supporters are, if they are in and we can get to a semi-final and be there, then that would be amazing for everyone. So, but at the minute, because as I said, we've seen it in the last year, an experience change and how quickly things can change, that you can't think too much beyond day by day. So that's where we approach it. And when the time does come for supporters to be in, we'll be grateful to have them back.
Good luck Sunday, Brendan.
Thanks, Ian. Cheers.
Okay, Jason from TalkSport, please.
Thanks, Johnny. Hi, Brendan. How are you?
Hi, Jason.
Mark Albrighton has been speaking to us about the targets that you set down to the players, I think on your first day, certainly in your first week in a presentation to them. Now, according to him, it was a 2-year plan, and I think you've re-shown it to them recently, that presentation, the targets, how they're being met or on the way to being met. Is this how you'd view things, and how far are you maybe looking ahead now with your long-term planning? Is it, in 2-year cycles?
No, it wasn't a 2-year plan. It was when I came in, I presented to the players the overall vision of the team and where I seen us, develop over the next period of time. Ultimately, where we wanted to get to and what that model of success would look like, and then how we were going to get there. And part of what we would establish in that period in terms of our environment, our vision, the philosophy, and how we would play, and the identity of the team. So there was many factors within that. And it was just a case of having been here 2 years, bringing it back to the players, because probably I would have thought most of them would have forgot what I said on that first day. And it was just to really reinforce what we'd said we would look to deliver, and just ask them to just have a think as I was speaking, and whether we had delivered until that point what we said we would do, and then obviously mapping out going forward what the future holds for us. So it was as simple as that. Just really, reinforcing a lot of what we said when we first come in, establishing the success we've had in these first couple of seasons, and creating the culture and the environment, and then the real exciting prospect we have going forward of that continuation of the squad and the team and the club.
Just to other on-the-field matters, I mean, you look at Jamie Vardy's time at the football club. He's been here a long time now. Now, he's often played maybe with a partner up front, David Nugent, Shinji Okazaki, certainly in the two more successful partners that he's had. Now, given Kelechi Iheanacho's form and the partnership they appear to be developing over the last 2 or 3 games, now, has Jamie expressed any kind of view on what he prefers, playing that lone striker or with a partner, or how he prefers to play to get the best out of him and the team as a whole?
No, that's the manager that decides that. Jamie has played up there with a partner. He's also played with people from the side, and I think whatever system he plays in, he'll be successful. He's a top player. I think what you're now seeing, you've seen last weekend that, okay, he may not have scored, but something that gets forgotten about, because Jamie Vardy is always associated with goals, and rightfully so, because he's such a great striker. But you see the quality of his assists. The passes that he made last week were absolutely superb, and that's something that probably doesn't get talked about so much. But whether he plays in a 1, whether he plays in the front 2, or whether he plays in the front 3, he'll always be very, very dangerous. But it's nice at the moment to see that combination between him and Kells, and how they work together, and how fruitful that's been for us.
Can you tell us a little bit more about Kelechi as a person? I mean, his post-match interview with our TV colleagues last week, admired pretty much. Wilfred Ndidi telling TalkSport recently about their friendship as well. But what kind of character is he? What is he like as a person?
No, he's got a huge personality. I thought it was a fantastic interview. I'd seen it afterwards, and the humility that he had. He scored a hat-trick, and he's thanking everyone else. And it's authentic. It's a real genuine interview of a guy who really respects his life as a footballer, respects his friendships here that he has within his team, and he appreciates all the help and support he gets from everyone. So it was really, really nice. And as a guy, like I say, he trains so hard. And he's like any player, really. When they're confident, they play the game to a new level and another dimension, and that's where he's at the moment. He's a really confident. He's been very productive for us, but he knows he has to continue with that mentality and that consistency. But as a person, great guy, plays with a smile on his face. But he comes into work. Very rarely does he miss a day's training. And like I said, when he's asked upon to come in and play, as I said, he always produces in the main. There's been some performances where he hasn't maybe been at his most confident, but what I know is that he gives his all, and at the moment he's playing to a really high level.
And Brendan, the final one from me, please. Within that final financial statement that was released by the club today, it talked about investments of the club and also the retention of staff, continued to pay casual staff even when there was no football, of course, this time last year until the summer. Now, other clubs, rightly or wrongly, may have done things differently and may be criticised for it. But does it give you a sense of pride in who you work for and how the club conducts itself in this type of manner?
Yeah, it was one of the attractions to come here, but also having been here for over the last couple of years. It's been a great privilege to be here as the manager, and especially and how they go about their business. You know, it is very much about the people. You know, the people in the community here at Leicester, the staff, and this is a club that really looks after whether it's players or staff. So none of it surprises me. But of course, in a moment where, like you say, you maybe have seen other clubs go down a different path. This is a club that's path has always been to look after their employees and treat them with respect. And like I say, they get that back because it's a great club to work for.
Thanks. All the best on Sunday.
Thanks, Jason. Thank you.
Okay, Rob Dulcet, Sky Sports, please.
Hi, Brendan. Good to see you.
Hi, Rob.
Mate, listen, I've got to ask you about a very, very, very serious subject. I'm sorry to drop it right in the middle of your news conference, but after a 4-year inquiry, the Sheldon inquiry reported its results a couple of days ago, very critical of the FA and the game as a whole, I think. Pretty damning findings. I mean, look, you've been involved in the game for a long time now with some youngsters at Chelsea and now with senior players. You've worked in almost every area of football. What do you make of the image that it portrayed? And are you confident that safeguarding of children is now much more secure than maybe it was 20, 30, 50 years ago?
I think for us all, Rob, it's important to acknowledge the seriousness of it. I think the report has very much delivered what has happened in the past, but I also think it's a positive step going forward. That the historical nature of what happened before, and obviously for all the survivors of that, and children who've carried through into the adult life, we have real sympathy with them. But hopefully going forward now, the report allows clubs to be at the highest level in terms of safeguarding children and kids in sport. And like I say, I think this is a positive step forward, even though for, as I said, for the survivors and people went through it and the bravery they've had to show to come out and speak about it. I think it'll all point us and put us on a path that will be better for kids in sport and protect them, because in social life or professional life, it's the one duty we all have as adults is to protect our children, and whether they're your own or other people's, we have to look after our kids.
Good man, thank you for that. A much lighter note, a much more positive note. This will be your 100th game in charge of Leicester City. Heck of a milestone, and it's been incredibly impressive, Brendan. I mean, if we'd have said to you at the start, where would you want to be after 100 games? And somebody suggested that you'd be, competing for a Champions League spot last season and getting into the Europa League, third in the table now, quarterfinal of the FA Cup. You'd have been pretty pleased with that progress in that time, wouldn't you? It's a heck of an achievement.
Yeah, I think it's a huge testament to the outstanding players that we have and the quality and the open-mindedness of the players. We come in here to establish a working environment and create a working mentality and create a standard every single day of our life to be the best that we could be. And that has been our aim from the very first day. So the players really take that and take that into their games. We've had some fantastic results, some great performances, and we've had some bumps along the way as well. So I'm very satisfied where we're at after 2 years working together, and I'm really excited about the continuation of that and the growth of the club. Fundamentally, when we come in here, we said we wanted to win titles, and even though we we may not be the fashionable club that's going to be out there and spoken about to win. We want to win, and that's something that we would love to be able to show for the other successes that we have. But we want to always do it in a way that was creative and attacking style that excites our supporters, and obviously try to do it with some young players as well as our top senior players. And so for that, I'm satisfied. But there's one thing in this game you can never get is complacent, and we always have to be looking for improvement. And the best time to improve is when you're doing okay. So that's our continuing mindset.
Good man. Team news. Sorry, Brendan. 2 more, if that's okay. I'm really sorry. Dennis Praet and Cengiz Under. I think Cengiz Under, you said probably after the international break. But Dennis Praet is quite close now, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah. Dennis will be available for the weekend. Cengiz, we'll see how he is after the international break.
Good man. And last one is a completely unfair question, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. If you had to pick Champions League place or winning the FA Cup, which would you go for? It's a debate a lot of the fans are having. Yeah, both. Both. You cannot. Don't ask me to separate. We're very hungry for both. We will fight to the very end to finish in the top 4. It is possible for us, so let's see if we can do it. And it's also possible for us to get to the final and win an FA Cup. So if we get a little bit of luck along the way, we can do both. But best of luck, mate. Thank you. No worries.
Okay, we'll just take one from Rob Ellis and then we'll finish and go to the written section.
Hi, Brendan. Yeah, just to follow up Rob's question there about your 100th game with Leicester, you actually have the best win percentage at any club that you've had in English football. I just wondered why you think you've been particularly successful this time at Leicester compared to your times at, say, Leicester, Reading and others before that.
I would easily have a better record than Reading, because I got the sack after about 20 odd games, so that wouldn't have been hard to do. It's also the where you take over a club. When I went to Watford, Watford were towards the bottom of the table, and the idea was to keep them in the division, and we were able to do that. And then I left then in that summer. Reading, like I said, I failed at Reading, so it didn't work for me there. And Swansea City we had a fantastic couple of years. So each club and each project is different. We arrived into here a couple of years ago when the team was in that sort of mid-section, and our challenge and test was to try and improve that. So how we do it, we just go about our work to create an environment, like I say, to develop players. You obviously you clearly need very, very good players. And what I have here is outstanding players that have a great commitment to learning, and they're very hungry and they're very coachable. And if you add that all together, then you hopefully can succeed. So yeah, it's been a very satisfactory couple of years. But we want to continue and sustain that, and that's the work ahead.
Okay, thanks guys. We'll end the broadcast section there and we'll move into